Marine biologists in the Maldives were seeing high numbers of crown of thorns starfish. The situation started to get out of hand and they asked for help.
The guys from the Living Ocean Foundation have come down to help us out with removing them.
All right, good morning, crown of thorns removal team. We'll have people in buddy teams staged from just below the surface of the water down to the base of the reef.
Well, the process is quite simple actually, and you get into it real quick. You got a stick and a net, and the idea is of course to remove the animal from the coral.
This bag gets pretty full, so each time you put them in, you have to sort of push them in further. So at low densities, they're okay, but what happens when there's too many is they eat all the coral. And so in the end, what you end up with is just the skeletons. It looks like a graveyard of coral skeletons.
I'd never heard of crown of thorns starfish, I'd never seen one before, and when you started researching it, you realize the gravity of the problem, and it's not something that's just going to go away. From what I've learned this week, if the problem is not able to be controlled, it would be absolutely devastating for the country in terms of their industry and the tourism.
The places that we've gotten to where we don't see any animals, they're spectacular, they're stunning, they're very, very healthy, a lot of fish on them, the coral cover is really high, a really high number of different types of corals, and so it's a really, really important resource for this area. By getting those animals off the reef, you're stopping an outbreak in the future. There's several different options for these starfish. You can either remove the starfish to get them off the reef, or there's a lot of people now that are injecting the starfish with a variety of chemicals. But there's complications when you inject. You have to make sure you get them in the right place. In some cases, if you just inject them in an arm, they can lose that arm and they can crawl away and regrow it. We've also seen when they've injected them with some of these poisons is the animals immediately spawn. And we're really trying to avoid this because we want to get them off the reef without having them spawn, because if they do, we are much more likely to actually propagate the problem. We will be more likely to create a secondary outbreak down the road if these starfish do reproduce before they die. So we're not only trying to maintain healthy reefs today, we're trying to stop future damage from these animals. So the Maldives is never reported to have had severe outbreaks of crown of thorns historically. So when we came here, we really expected only to find small outbreaks consisting of a few hundred animals. But over a period of 14 days of diving, we've removed a total of about 7,000 starfish. It's really, really difficult for 4 scientists to get in and really clean up as many as we have. And the only way that we've been as successful as we can is because we've had divers from the resorts, dive masters, instructors. We've had other certified divers that have a lot of experience come in the water with us, including the marine biologists that work in the Maldives, to help remove these starfish. And then even on board, when we send our bags of starfish up, the captain and the mates that are on the boat are the ones who are responsible for pulling them up onto the boat and emptying those bags into the bins that we collect them.
Yeah, to be honest, first of all, I wasn't sure exactly what I'm going to expect. I heard numbers, and it's always when you hear something and then when you see it actually happening, and you see partially the outbreaks in these large numbers, and we collected on my dives in the morning 450 of them. So that's a large number.
I was shocked. I was more than surprised. We managed to see hundreds together concentrating in one small section.
We are trying to understand where these starfish came from and how they're spreading. Each of the populations that we've removed, they're discrete. It'll be one large patch reef that's really affected, and the reefs surrounding that have no crown of thorns. What we've seen in one area, we understand sort of the pattern of spread. The outbreak started in an area right near a channel, and this particular channel is a source of high nutrients. There's a tuna processing plant on an island that's very close to the channel, and a lot of the tuna waste is washed out onto the reef. And in this particular area, we believe that's where the crown of thorns first originated, because they've basically eaten most of the coral. There was only a few animals left in that area, and they've started to spread both to the north and south of that area.
My advice would be for people to really do be vigilant and keep an eye on how many are on the reef. Track some numbers. If you're seeing more, contact somebody who knows what they're talking about, ask for help. If it's a natural number, it's fine, leave it. If it's not, which in a lot of cases at the moment in some parts of Maldives it's not, needs to be dealt with.
Every resort should get involved and eventually have staff doing this on a full-time position and just keep monitoring for new outbreaks.
This is something that I see as a way to move forward.